real constitutional development. So open up the app and let's start capturing freedom. My screen shows Independence Hall and an older, bespectacled Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers. Franklin served in the Second Continental Congress and helped draft the Declaration of Independence in 1776, which officially established our freedom from England. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have captured our first Pokemon, Pokemon Freedom from England. Now that we earned our independence, let us travel 9 years forward to the second Monday in May in 1787 at the Pennsylvania State House in Philadelphia, the location of the Constitutional Convention, where a well-respected, gray-headed George Washington was sitting in the presiding officer's chair. The purpose of the Constitutional Convention was to decide how America was going to be governed. Although the convention had been officially called to revise the existing Articles of Confederation, many delegates had much bigger plans. My screen shows Benjamin Franklin in the background, along with James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, who wanted to create a new government rather than fixing the existing one. And that's exactly what they did, as the scorching hot summer of 1787 drew to a close. On September 17, 1787, 7 articles of the Constitution had been agreed upon. Governor Morris carefully wrote it out by hand, and the Constitution was approved by the unanimous consent of the states present before being distributed to the states to be ratified. Benjamin Franklin, gazing at the sun on the back of George Washington's chair, says, "I have the happiness of knowing that it is a rising sun, not a setting one." And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have captured our second Pokemon, Pokemon Constitution, at the Pennsylvania State House. Let us travel ahead 4 years to find Pokemon Personal Rights, who represents the passage and ratification of the Bill of Rights on December 15, 1791, which defines the rights of people, guarantees privacy, and sets minimum standards for persons accused of crimes. We have now captured our third Pokemon, Pokemon Personal Rights. Our Pokemon Freedom game has gotten us to how America gained its independence, how our Constitution was created and adopted, and how our government was established. Isn't it amazing what a 21st century game can reveal to us about the basis of the freedoms we enjoy today? But the game's not over. Now my screen is showing 6 or 7 elderly gentlemen dressed in black robes. Oh, of course, we must be looking at the Supreme Court, and it is because I see Pokemon judicial power. The argument before the court today is Marbury v. Madison, a landmark decision that defined the power of the Supreme Court and the boundaries of the 3 branches of the federal government. In this 1803 case, the Supreme Court established the principle of judicial review. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have captured our 4th Pokemon, Pokemon Judicial Power. Oh, Pokemon Personal Rights is sending me an alert. Let's step in this direction and see what it's trying to tell us. It's 1848, and I see Susan D. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Lucretia Mott gathered in July of 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York. They're demanding equal rights for women, especially the right to vote. Elizabeth Stanton took the radical position that the right to vote was a fundamental right of all citizens, including women. Oh, I just missed my 5th Pokemon. But ladies and gentlemen, this was not a Pokemon. It was a Pokewoman. Let's hope we can find her again. The next level of our Pokemon game is a serious and sad time. This Pokemon represents our nation when we were divided and at war. We're in Washington, D.C., and I see a tall and tired President Abraham Lincoln. The 6th Pokemon, Pokemon Conflict, enacted in D.C., it took nearly 100 years and several Supreme Court decisions for these amendments to secure the rights they granted. We have now captured our 6th Pokemon Conflict. Oh, Pokewoman is appearing on my screen. With her is Sojourner Truth, who is saying, I'm above 80 years old, 40 years a slave, and 40 years free, and would be here 40 years more to have equal rights for all. If she could have lived to 1920, she could have seen the equal voting rights for women she was hoping for with the passage of the 19th Amendment. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have captured our 7th Pokemon, Pokewoman, who represents women's rights. It would seem that the expansion of voting rights is now complete, but Pokemon Conflict is re-emerging on my screen. This time, he's not dressed in blue and gray. He's walking through a thick jungle dressed in green. With the escalation of the Vietnam War, there was increased pressure to lower the voting age from 21 to 18. Pokemon suffrage is appearing on my screen for the ratification of the 26th Amendment in 1971. And with that, we have captured our final Pokemon suffrage. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pokemon game of constitutional study and examination of freedom has ended. What we have learned is that freedom is not a game. It was not a game when only 58% of men and women, regardless of their race and ethnicity, went to the polls last November. The true point is that freedom is real. It is a privilege that we enjoy as Americans under the Constitution that can only be preserved if we study it, if we practice it, and if we protect it. I'm reminded of the wonderful words spoken by Barbara Jordan, who said, "My faith in the Constitution is whole, it is complete, it is total." I am not going to sit here and be a spectator. It is therefore our duty and obligation as citizens to understand the rules of the game of freedom and abide by those rules in a responsible manner. We must do more than just watch the game. We must do more than just play the game. We must get involved in the democratic process. It can be as simple as voting, or as complex as campaigning for a political office. As simple as writing a letter to your congressional representative about important current issues, or marching in Washington wearing a pink hat, or as complex as investing in the platforms of local, state, and national candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now put your phones away, but never